Hi there, my name is Jason Brenizer. I'm one of the owners of Silverleaf Eldercare Upscale Residential Assisted Living in Austin, Texas, in the Northwest Hills area. And I do have a lot of people asking me, especially right now during COVID, what are we doing about tours? What are we doing about people who want to get introduced to the community and are a little bit afraid maybe of getting exposed or exposing people to an infection? And I'm glad that people are having this kind of reaction to our current state, because the people that we serve in assisted living, the elders, are certainly scientifically shown to be most susceptible to difficulties with the COVID-19 or coronavirus. And we want to keep them as protected as possible. We do extra cleaning around the clock. We are taking temperatures 3 times a day. We're checking O2 saturation, the amount of oxygen that our residents have in their system. We're testing our staff, and we're wearing masks, and we're making sure that anyone who comes in the building gets to go through the questionnaire and make sure that they haven't traveled abroad and the whole 9 yards. And that's all important. But it's also important for people right now who might be isolated in their own home, whether it's a married couple in their elder years, or a widow, for instance, or someone who never married and is living alone and isolated. That right now, COVID-19 is isolating the world like never before. So we're having a hard time, missing out on those interactions. And we will see that continue through this winter, unfortunately, of 2020. And so for me, I feel obligated to get this information out to people that maybe that is not the best setting. It may be safer from a total, from a perspective that is all about epidemiology. Yes, true, they will have less exposure. That is absolutely true. Compare that to a hospital, or compare that to a nursing home where there are hundreds and hundreds of people that are being cared for that are all sick. That's a difficult setting to go into. I agree with that too. Some of the larger assisted livings are having some difficulty with that. A lot of breakouts of COVID. And also isolation. That's another problem, because one of the ways that we can protect ourselves is to say, I'm going to go lock myself up in my apartment and I'm not going to go eat in a communal area, or I'm not going to go to activities where other people are around chomping on popcorn and watching a movie and maybe someone sneezes next to me. Those are all big worries and real concerns, absolutely. So one of the things about residential assisted living is that we have this opportunity to kind of balance against both those worlds. For instance, our first place has a maximum of 12 residents. We have 10 total rooms. 2 of those rooms are larger and for married couples. And so even if we don't have a married couple, then we have a single person in one of those larger rooms. That means 10 rooms, 10 people. And it's much easier for us to keep track of their health, make sure that we are getting their doctors coming in to look at them regularly, checking on any little issue and any little change, so that we get on top of any problems that arise. And then beyond that, our staff, we're taking measures, wearing all kinds of gloves, PPE, I'm sure you've heard this term, about personal protective equipment, masks, and the like. And we're vigorously doing all kinds of hand washing and disinfecting everywhere in the community to keep everybody safe. But one thing that we've been able to do, since we've had no infections in the building, we've had no outbreaks or any COVID-19, is that our residents, this is their home, and they get to still relate to each other in a communal way in their home. They can go from their private space out into the dining area or in the living room or on the back deck, and they can interact with each other without having to feel like their life is diminished. We don't require them to wear masks. If they're symptom-free, if they're doing well, they don't have to worry about being isolated in any kind of space. And I think this is a smart way to balance what we're seeing in the senior care industry, is that you have physical health and you have mental health. And we're seeing a lot of places get drastically bringing down the chances for the physical ailments, and that's great. But at the same time, that isolation, that separation, that non-human interaction is increasing tension. It's increasing, mental problems and feelings of depression and all of that. And so what we try to do, and just by being smaller allows us to do this a little bit better, is we're not being so draconian with the residents, even though we are with our staff and who can come and visit. And that helps bring that mental health down into a balance. I think that's really, really important. So we still, at Silverleaf Eldercare, we kind of have now a 2 or 3 tier process where we want you to learn about our community by going to our website, by looking at we have a 3D tour that's available on the website that you can click and move throughout the home and click on all these little blue buttons that give you information that pops up and tells you about each of the spaces. So that's available to you on our website. We also like to do phone calls where we can get a good handle on whether we are a great fit for your family's needs. Are we able to give the kind of care, the level of care that you need, or would that be better served by a nursing home or in-home care? So we'd like to have that conversation at the beginning, have you go to the website, and then when we get to the point where we think, yes, this seems like a good fit for both of us and we want to move forward, at that point we're allowing family to come in and go through the rigmarole of getting all the PPE on and actually coming into the community and getting a feel for it, because it's something you can't really do from a picture or a video. You don't know who the caregivers are. You don't know how they're interacting with the residents. You don't know what the food smells like. And you certainly don't get a sense of how far is my mom going to have to walk to go from her room to the dining room, or her room to a bathroom, or something like that. Being in the space makes a huge difference. And you also want to really get the vibe of the people who are running the place. If that's the owners or a manager or just the team in general. That's so important. The design is important, absolutely. The environment is so important for the residents. But if you don't have the right care staff, if you don't have the right mentality and the right vision for where your company comes from, that the residents are always first, that their needs are the primary concern of whether you're successful or not. If you don't have that point of view, you're not going to get that from reading copy on a website. So I invite you to give us a call. It's Silverleaf Eldercare, 512-831-5600, and we can get started. I can help you get through that 3D walkthrough on the website, and we can talk about what your needs are and see if we would want to move on to the next step and have you come and do a tour. I think it's super important to have those 3 steps. And I look forward to talking to any of you in Austin, Texas, who might be needing a little bit of assistance for you, your spouse, your parents, or your grandparents. Until then, adios from Texas.